Hello and welcome to another demonstrational video here at Emm-Bee Motorhomes. This time it's Bailey's brand new 6-metre model. It's the Bailey Adamo 60-4. Okay, so we'll move around the outside and then in true Emm-Bee fashion we'll move on to the inside. So first things first, the cab blinds on this, you just pinch these two together, slide this across, and that's your darkening blinds for the side window. Exactly the same operation on that side. On this one, to darken off the windscreen, you just pull it up from the bottom. Okay, so you can put it at incremental points. As you can probably see there's a catch about halfway up, so you can sit it on that one, and then you've got, it's a bit difficult doing it one-handed, you've got it halfway up. And then if you take it all the way to the top, that'll completely darken off the blind for the windscreen. Okay, so it's spring loaded and it clips into these clips that you can probably just see here. You can probably see better on that side. So there's one halfway up and one all the way at the top. This is the automatic model, the Ford 160 brake horsepower. To swivel the seats on this model, so it's got two captain's chairs. You just pull this lever here and that will allow you to swivel these seats so that they're facing the bench seats on the inside. You'll see better when we go inside how that operates. When you're putting these back, just make sure that this goes straight and it stops the blind crumpling up. Okay, there's you've got a chassis plate here which tells you about your total weight. There is no tyre pressure indicator on this if you refer to the handbook and the actual tyres themselves. Here we've got the fuel, so this is where the fuel filler is. Okay, so the top one being diesel fuel straight into there. The one underneath is the AdBlue additive, so that's where the AdBlue goes. This is being a Euro 6, requires the AdBlue additive. Fuel filling stations have got this now, so you can actually fill at the same time that you're filling up with your diesel. So just make sure those are closed, these flaps are closed here before you close the cab door. And you can probably see there's a little catch that keeps the AdBlue door closed. To get into the bonnet on this new Ford, you do need the Ford key. Okay, so with the Ford key in here, what you do is turn it anti-clockwise first and then clockwise at the same time that you're lifting the bonnet. Okay, bonnet open. We've got washer fluid, oil fill, brake fluid, dipstick. If you ever need to jump start the vehicle, the positive terminal goes onto that lobe there and the negative or earth black cable goes onto there. So you've got your black cable onto here and your red cable onto here. So that's if you ever need to jump start the vehicle or jump start another vehicle from it. And just under here we have the coolant reservoir. Okay, so the first thing to talk about as we work around our way around is the mains. So this is where you get a main supply into the motorhome. Comes with a cable which is in the wardrobe. So you plug it into there, obviously the other end into your onto the site. So that's how you get your mains feed into the motorhome, and the corresponding charger and fuse box is directly on the other side of that, but I'll show you that in a bit more detail when we go inside. Okay, so this is the shortest one in the range now. It has a rear view camera, so the camera is actually just mounted there. Just needs to be kept clean. That if it's wet it will give a distorted vision on the monitor itself. Okay, we have the water systems in this area here. Okay, so to fill the water tank, it's done so via this filler here, and you do need the specialist filler hose which comes with the motorhome. This end goes into here. Okay, so it can only go one way because you can see the hose there. It's got to go into that corresponding hose. The other end will just go onto a standard garden hose fitting, and then you just fill it, just open the tap and fill the tank. The freshwater tank is housed underneath this flap here. Now I've taken off this cover here, and in the bottom is this bung, so that's how you drain this freshwater tank down. Okay, so to drain the tank down, this bung is removed, and there's a hole in the bottom of the tank. I don't know whether you're going to be able to see this, just there. Okay, so this bung fills that hole, and that's how you drain the whole system down. Very important that in winter all the water is taken out of this motorhome. If water's left in there and it freezes, it'll expand, crack all the tank and possibly some of the pipe work. So it's very important that that is drained down. I'm going to put it back in for this customer because we're in the summer months and they're probably going to want to use this straight away. So what happens is the bung goes into that hole and this cap sits onto there, and it's tightened on clockwise. Just make sure that that's on tight, because obviously if you fill up this tank from here right to the very top, it's going to pressurize and try and go past that thread, so just make sure that that's tight. Also in this cupboard here we have the cassette toilet, and so the cassette is in here. When that's full, there's an indication on the toilet itself to tell you that, but to empty it, you lift up this handle like so, slide this back like any other cassette. For those of you who've got motorhomes, you just slide that nozzle forward, undo the cap off the end, and then when you need to empty it, just turn the whole thing upside down and let the liquid pour away. As you're letting the liquid pour away, press this button here. It lets air in as the liquid's going out and stops it splashing. Once you've done that, what I tend to do is fill it full of water again, swill it around, and then empty it again. Once you've done that, it's time to put the chemical into here. So you just pour the chemical into there, the required amount of chemical into the bottom, and just a small amount of water. So once you've done that, it's ready to reposition in the motorhome. Make sure that's closed, slide this back, put your nozzle back into position and slide it back in. You see this has got wheels on it to allow you to carry it over to the disposal point. It's also got an extendable handle. Before you put it in, make sure the handle is clipped back into its position like so. Grab the handle on the top, slide it back in. Okay, so it sits into its little slot like that. Okay, underneath that is the waste water tank. That's emptied by simply pulling this handle here. So you pull to empty it and push to close it. Okay, so that's closed now. You can see where the wastewater comes out of that outlet just there. There's an indicator inside to tell you how full the fresh and wastewater tank is, but we'll come to that when we go inside. Next to that is the gas locker. Okay, so it doesn't come with gas. You need to supply your own colour. Propane is the best system to use. So it'll take 2 6 kilograms, one there, one here. You've got a pressure regulator here. Built into that is a what they call a crash valve, a crash system. So if it senses that there's an impact, there's a little insert there that'll pop out. If that's popped out, you won't get any gas into the motorhome. So in order to get that back in, there's a little tool in the pack. You push it in and turn it anti-clockwise, and it pushes that little valve back in there in the centre. There is a pigtail to go with this motorhome, which is here, the flexible pigtail. It just needs attaching via this threaded thing here, which I'll do for the customer when they arrive, and then the other end goes into the gas bottle. That's lockable, as are all the lockers on the outside of this motorhome. Just pull this one down. So to lock this, you just turn those and then use the key to lock them. Working on around here, we've got this is where the boiler's positioned. So that's the vent for when the boiler is working on gas. It's not abnormal to see steam rising from that as you would your boiler at home. So when it's working on gas, you will see it exhausting its steam from that area there. Okay, now we're inside the motorhome. This is the main control panel. To switch everything on and off, you can see there I've just switched it off by pressing this button here. So the master system is now on. You can scroll through the menus by pressing up and down on these buttons here. So at the moment the leisure vehicle voltage is 12.3 on the battery. Vehicle voltage 12.4. We're drawing 2.9 amps of current. It's 22 degrees inside. It's 18 degrees outside. Water level is 0, as we just discovered by opening up the freshwater bung. Wastewater is also 0. You can select whether you want to use your leisure or your vehicle battery. Leave it in leisure unless it's an emergency and you need to use power and you've flattened your leisure battery. This is if you want to fill the tank from an external vessel of water. Pretty pointless, you might as well just fill it through the method which I described outside. And then there's a settings menu, but I won't go into that for this demonstration purpose. That is explained in the instruction manual. This switches your water pump on, so what that does is it pumps the water from the tank, which I showed you on the locker on the outside. Before you start using the motorhome, once you've filled up the water tank, what you need to do is switch that pump on, which I've just shown you. Come over to your tap, switch it on, leave it in the middle so it's hot and cold at the same time, and wait until you get a pure flow of water coming out of this tap. What that does is it pushes all the air out of the pipework through the boiler, and then the system's ready to use. It is absolutely pointless switching your boiler on if you've not done this, because you're just heating thin air. Okay, back to the control panel. This is switches your lights on and off inside the motorhome. That is your enter button as you're scrolling through these menus, and that's your external awning light. This is the control for the bed here, and next to that is some light switches. So the bed control, this has got a lowerable bed. You're just basically pressing this button here, and as you can see, the bed lowers. It will lower to a set position, and then if you press the button again, it will lower all the way down to sit on top of these beds here. And push that back up. Underneath this, it will also make a bed. Okay, so to do that, you must position the table, and to do that, you lift this lever up here, just that, and it allows you to position and swivel the table. This is like a leaf table, so you position this table, you turn it round, and then open the leaf up, and this then forms a base for the bed. So you can see, if you get the table into that rough position, there's a switch here which will allow you to lower the table. Okay, so you get the idea. That forms and bridges the gap for this bed here. In the wardrobe here, there is a further requirement. So this piece of furniture here, which you can see is removed via those little clips, that bridges the gap here. Okay, and then you just use the cushions to form the base for the bed. So that's the lower bed, and then you've got a lowerable bed from the ceiling area. Okay, for a small motorhome, it's also got seat belts, so it's 4 berth with 4 belted seats. To get the belted seats active, you just remove the cushions, turn this lever 1/4 of a turn, and it allows this seat to fold up. Okay, so that's the forward facing seat belt. You can see here this hinge door here. You take that to the side like so, and that allows the passenger's legs to go down there. What you do is you use the cushion with the hard base. This has got a hard backing to it on the other side, and then you use this cushion here that's got this strap on it, put the strap around here, and then you've got your seat belt. While we're here, the leisure battery is housed underneath here. Where I showed you where the electric goes in, there's also the charger unit, which is underneath this cupboard here, and on the front of that you've got a main circuit breaker at the top, which is this, okay, and then your 12-volt fuses are here. So if one of those flips down like so, then the mains electric is tripped. If one of these fuses blows here, then you've probably got an inoperable 12-volt circuit somewhere. So that's housed on the passenger side, just beneath the passenger seat. Okay, so that's all that reassembled. While we're in this area here, Bailey provide this winder here. which goes into that hole there, and there's a screw which it corresponds onto. If your battery becomes flat, or you blow the fuse, or for some reason the bed is inoperable, this winder will wind the bed up or down. Okay, so working on methodically, this here in the kitchen area, as you can see, is the controls for the heating. Okay, so this is the Truma heating system. To switch that on, you press the centre of the wheel like so. The first menu is the heating of the motorhome. So I've pressed that again, and then I'm swiveling here to go up through the temperatures. Okay, so when you've reached your desired temperature, press the button in the centre, and that's your heating switched on. I'm going to switch that off for now because we're not plugged in, so it'll give me a warning. Next one is the heating of the water. So again, press that dial in. You've got Eco, which is 40 degrees, Hot, which is 60 degrees, Boost, which is will heat the water very quickly, but it takes all the power from the heating of the motorhome. So what I would do, leave it on hot and then mix it with cold water to get a lot of warm water. Next one along is the power that you want to use. So if you want to use it on gas, a mix of gas and 1 kilowatt electric, a mix of gas and 2 kilowatt electric, electric only on 1 kilowatt, electric only on 2 kilowatts. Next one along, if you just want to vent the motorhome, then that allows you to do that. If you need to come out of any of these menus, you just press this back button, which is here where my thumb is. This one here is the timer, so you can set the time to come on at a certain, you can set the heating to come on at a certain time, off at a certain time. That sets your clock. Then you've got a settings menu just here. So to go through these menus, you're just scrolling this wheel here, okay? And then whichever one is flashing, like the heating there, press the button, and then that lets you go into that menu. To switch this off, it's just a long press on there, on the wheel, and that switches it off. Okay, straightforward oven. On the hob, if the electric ring has been left on and is hot, don't bring the glass lid down on top of it. Let that cool down, because if you bring this down and that's red hot, it'll just shatter the glass. You've got your ignition button there. Again, that's pretty straightforward. Your fridge is a 3-way fridge. To switch it on, you press this button here. Okay, so you can see there it's trying to ignite on gas, which it won't, obviously, because we haven't got a gas bottle connected, but you can scroll through those menus. So you scroll through those by putting a long press on this middle button here, and then it'll allow you to scroll through the different power sources. So that one there is mains electric, that one there is 12 volt, it'll only work when the engine is running, that works off the engine alternator, and that is gas. The next one along is A, auto. It will automatically select the most relevant power source. So what I would do is just leave it on automatic, and it will select electric first, then it'll try and find gas, then it'll try and find the 12 volt. You can select your temperature by giving another press on this center button, and then that will allow you to adjust the temperature. On a hot day, you want the fridge to work harder. On a really cold day, then adjust the fridge down. If you put the fridge on full on a really cold day, it'll just ice up. To open the fridge is this little catch here. If you're going to leave the fridge for any length of time and it not be switched on, this little catch here, if you take that off, it lets the fridge breathe. It leaves the fridge door slightly ajar. Okay, to switch the fridge off, it's just a long press on that button there. Okay, so onto the toilet system. Basically, to use the toilet, what you do, open the lid, slide this across, which opens that blade up, as you can see. So open the blade up, use the toilet, press the flush button, and then close the blade back up. Make sure you close that blade up before you're travelling, because otherwise you'll get the contents of the toilet sloshing around as you're travelling. When the toilet cassette's full and needs emptying, that little light illuminates there. Light switch for the bathroom is here. Shower cubicle, I would just be conscious about travelling with that in its holder. Maybe take that out and put it and lay it flat on the floor, because if that falls out and falls onto that plastic tray, it could damage it. We've got the carpets here, and you've got access to the wastewater tank here. Shouldn't need to go in there, but if you, for any reason that you want to sanitise maybe the wastewater tank, there is access to that from there. Okay, that concludes the video. I think I've covered all the main functional parts of the motorhome, but obviously if you've got any questions, I'd be happy to answer those on the day that you collect this lovely new Bailey Adamo motorhome. Just one thing that was missed from the demonstrational video is how to drain down the hot water boiler, which is very important in winter. If that isn't drained down and water's left in there, it could freeze, expand and crack the tank. So we're just behind the driver's seat here, and if you lift this panel up, right in the very bottom there, you can probably just see a yellow tab. If it's pointing horizontally, then that is open. If it's vertical, sorry, if it's horizontal, it's closed. If it's vertical, it's open. I'll just open it up so you can probably see it just a little bit better. We're talking about this yellow tab just here. So you can probably see that's just moved. So that's in the open position, as it was pointing before. That is in the closed position. So in the closed position, it will retain all the water in the boiler. If it's open, the boiler is, you won't be able to get the boiler operational, so it needs to be closed. But whenever you're not using the vehicle, open that up and it'll drain all the water out of the boiler for safety and sanitation.